From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G and Brian Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brian.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. I'm Bonnie G here with Brian Mendoza, my producer and partner in crime, and we're so happy to welcome to the show today Dan Guerrero, who is one of the sons of Lalo Guerrero, and he's got a lot of wonderful credits of his own, but he's going to be part of the CV Rep Summer Music Shows coming up Thursday, June 9th, 7 p.m. at CV Rep. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm good, Bonnie G. This is Dan G. saying hi to the two of you.
Yay. All right. So I did not realize till I looked on your website, you have had an amazing career of your own, award-winning producer of diverse programming, specials for NBC, PBS, HBO, so the events at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, Kennedy Center. I'm from Washington, D.C., so I love the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
And so and it started, began your career in New York, moved from East Los Angeles to pursue studies in musical theater. So tell us how your individual career kind of all started.
Well, I wish I knew. I've just been hanging on best I can, but it all started, people think because Dad was in entertainment, etc.
Right.
But really, and what really sparked it, although I was already, taking drama class in junior high, don't ask, in East LA in the 50s. Come on. But anyway, I was. But that teacher took us to see in Hollywood from East LA, which is, a half-hour bus ride, but it was like going to, I don't know where, like going to the moon in those days.
Yeah.
And to see the first run of the film Oklahoma.
Oh, my gosh.
At the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. And I did I know from musicals? No. With Dad, I only knew from rancheras and boleros and cumbias.
Right.
So I see this movie. I'm going, no, wait a minute. I can go through life singing and dancing. This is swell.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So much to my parents' unhappiness, I left for New York right after 2 years at East LA College. And I lived in New York for 20 years, all in the musical theater.
Wow. First
as a performer for about, I'd say 7-8 years. And then by accident, I became a Broadway theatrical agent. So I started as an agent. Half the original cast of A Chorus Line were my clients. And my last contract was Old Deuteronomy in Cats. So that was my New York agent years, A Chorus Line to Cats, which is not too bad.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so when did you come from New York back out here to the West Coast?
I came back to L.A. in 1982. I moved to New York in 1962, which was like going to Dubai. I mean, nobody was flying back and forth as we do today. So 1982, I came back. And that's really when Dad and I truly connected, which is very, very interesting. My brother is, 10 years my junior, I guess? Mm-hmm. Well, 9 years. He's 9 years younger. And he and my dad always had to connect right away because, Mark loved the guitar. My dad taught him the guitar. They both loved sports, and they had all this connect. But when I was Mark's age, 10, 11, 12, I discovered Oklahoma by the time I was like 13 or 14. So I was in my musical theater world. Dad was touring a lot at that time, establishing his career. And so, although we were close emotionally, I always loved my dad. Worshipped is a better word. But it wasn't until I returned in the early 80s, and he had moved out to the desert and kind of pretty much retired. And he used to sing at Las Cazuelas Nuevas there in Rancho Mirage.
Right.
And I started to produce for television very often Latino-themed programming. And when they would find out who Dad was, oh, my God, do you think he could do the show? Oh, my God, he's a legend.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he was being studied in Chicano studies. And so he had this whole second career. He had this whole second career, and that those 20 years, he passed in '05, 82, 92, whatever years, that's where we had our time. Because we worked together many, many times. I would put him in productions I was doing, or I'd go with him, when he was doing things separate. So that's when we got our many happy years. I'm blessed to have had that with him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the show that you're doing on Thursday, June 9th at CV Rep, it's you and Mark together celebrating your father's legacy through film and performance. So tell us a little bit about the show.
Sure. Well, what happened is I got a call to screen a documentary that I produced on Dad called Lalo Guerrero, the original Chicano. Mm-hmm. And I called it that because he was of that first generation. He was born in 1916 in Tucson. But he was of that first generation of Mexican-born parents who had to learn that, I'm not Mexican. As soon as they go to school, they find out that they're not Mexican, as in from Mexico. They're Americans. Although some might disagree, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
So, to live those two lives, or I saw Eva Longoria last night in conversation with Dolores Huerta at the Motion Picture Museum, and she put it so well, that she says, I'm 100% Mexican and 100% American. And that's really what we are. So anyway, they called me to screen the documentary. It aired on PBS about 10 years ago. It's not brand new. And I said, terrific. I'm happy to do it to raise funds for that wonderful theater. But let's make it a whole evening. And my brother, who's a very talented musician on his own and very well known out there in the Valley. He lives in Cathedral City. And he has a big following. So I called him. I said, why don't you do, I'll screen the docu. We'll do a Q&A. And then you come out, you do a couple of Dad's songs. And I might be persuaded to do one myself. So it'll be an evening of music and fun and laughter and raising money for a very important cause, I think.
That's fabulous. Now, I have to ask you, with you and your brother and your father all being in the entertainment business, was there ever any competition or conflict or ego kind of stuff with the three of you?
Not really. It's hard to answer that. Not that we didn't have moments. Yeah. But not really, because in a way we were very different genres, really. My brother was a rock and roller. My dad was in Mexican music. I was in musical theater. Yeah. So everybody had their own little niche. Yeah. And then in later years, my brother was the musician and I was producing. And so not really. We all kind of had our little space there in the entertainment industry.
That's great. And so you're based in LA right now?
Yes, I live in good old West Hollywood.
And so tell me about, are you still as busy as ever, or are you slowing down as far as the producing and all that kind of stuff?
I am speeding up, and I will tell you, last October I was 81.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Not that I want to slow down. I mean, I'm not going to sit on the porch and start whittling or go fishing. Listen, in our business, you do your thing until you croak. I mean, really.
Exactly.
What's to retire from? We love it. There's nothing to retire from. So, I'm very grateful and feel very blessed that anybody gives a rat's ass about me at this point. But, honestly, either I'm MC here or I'm doing a number there or I'm producing something. Actually, my dad wrote a fantastic children's song back in the 50s. I always loved Pancho Claus. And I self-published a book. My friend Bob Mackey did the illustrations, and we self-published it a couple of years ago. And now I've been pitching it as a children's film, and I think it may have been sold just last Thursday. We did a pitch, and so there's a lot going on. Yes,
congratulations!
A lot going on in my life.
Yeah.
Well, a lot can happen from the lip to the cup. So when I sign the papers, I'll call you, Bonnie, and then you
get you back on. Yes. Well, I have to say, if you are 81, boy, you sound like you have a ton of energy. I don't know what kind of vitamins you're taking, or maybe it's a lot of coffee. But boy, you sound just full of energy.
You know what? I came from two very, very strong forces. My mom was very high energy, and even though they were very different in terms of my mom was very, rushing here and rushing there and doing that and being a mom and being, dad's partner. And, I always say she was, at the same time, a gorgeous woman and beautiful, and she was a Donna Reed mother, and it was the 50s. That's what they did, the ladies, and she had no career. It was all about Dad and her two boys, as she called us. But so she was high energy, and Dad was extremely calm. He would never rush, and nothing ever fazed him. He was so even. But the more I think about it, I thought he had to have energy because he kept going to his last concert, which was in Tucson, where he was born, and that was, as it should be, his last concert was in October of 2004, and he passed in March of 2005.
Wow.
So he was out there doing it to the end.
Yeah. God bless him. Well, this sounds like such an exciting show. So again, it's Thursday, June 9th, 7 p.m., part of the CV Rep Summer Music Shows. You can get tickets at cvrep.com, I believe, cvrep.com or .org. Dan, so nice to meet you. I hope to meet you in person someday. This sounds like such a fun show. Congratulations on all of your success and on putting this lovely tribute to your dad together. I think it's going to be fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Dan Guerrero, and we'll see you guys on the next Desert Scene.